Welcome to this video coverage for round 7 of my tournament in Mallorca. Just to be clear about it, as one or two people still wish me luck for the rest of the rounds. The tournament is ended already for more than a week now, so it's just me recollecting the whole tournament round by one. I'm not playing every round and then doing a video. Okay, so this is round 7, and yeah, I was on 4.5 out of 6 before this round, so still a very good result. And there were still slight chances for this very much desired Grandmaster norm, but it pretty much meant that out of the 3 remaining rounds, I would probably need 2.5 points. And I need to have some luck with the pairing so that I got really good opposition. I mean, it was pretty much guaranteed that I got very strong players, but probably I even needed some luck that I get some 2600 player in there to just get the rating average high. Okay, anyway, this round I was paired with a Spanish player. Castellanos Rodriguez, if I'm not totally mispronouncing that. He's rated 2474. Yeah, a younger Spanish player, very dangerous player. In this tournament, in an earlier round, he had beaten Julio Granda Zuniga, the #1 seed in the tournament, 2670 Grandmaster, very strong player, and my opponent here had beaten him. So yeah, dangerous player. Yeah, I was thinking in the preparation, well, let's start. I mean, he plays e4, and I saw that in the preparation he was really going for main lines and usually playing very yeah, not ultra sharp chess, but very much mainline oriented openings. And I was thinking, okay, let's surprise this guy. And these were the first moves. I mean, I sometimes play the Sicilian, but I rarely did in recent years. And when I played it, I never played second 2d6. I played knight c6 once in 1 or 2 games, but not d6. And this pretty much shows that, yeah, I want to play the knight off, I want to play the dragon. And this seems that, yeah, this really has surprised him. I mean, I noticed immediately he didn't play d4 here, as he did in, I don't know, I got like 50 or 60 games of him in the Open Sicilian. He always played d4. But here he didn't. Maybe he was suspecting some specific preparation here. Well, there was some specific preparation, of course. I had some idea in the Najdorf that I wanted to play. I'm not a huge Najdorf expert, but I wanted to have the element of surprise on my side. Well, he obviously, as the saying goes, I think he smelled a rat and played bishop c4. Yeah, bit of a surprising move, but this is one of those lines that has no name, is very rarely played, but is in fact quite good. If white is looking for an alternative here on move 3 to the Open Sicilian, this is not a bad line. It's normally leading to this type of position with d3 and here with c3. That it looks like white is playing an Italian game, yeah, but black has played c5 instead of e5. If you think about the English opening 1c4, black rather often plays a setup with e5 and bishop c5, which is considered perfectly normal. It's called the Karpov variation. For example, if he would have played this move here, we really would have a Karpov variation of the English with reversed colors. Here, however, c3 is even more logical, as it limits my knight, and it allows this typical bishop retreat if necessary. Yeah, this setup for white is not aiming at a quick victory, of course, but it's a good way to just play a game, yeah, without any heavy theory. Okay, I really didn't know any specific lines and thought that probably this should be right with g6, bishop g7. yeah, played h3 here, preventing any bishop g4 things. Castles. Yeah, this is very normal. And here, yeah, I needed to decide on a setup. What should black do now? I mostly considered three things here. One is to try to play with b5 and b4. Fairly normal way to play, trying to emphasize the long diagonal with b5 and b4. Black can also play something like b6 and bishop b7, just trying to stay flexible. This, however, I didn't like so much, as I thought that probably white in the long run will get to play d4, and I don't want to give him this kind of a full center. And the third option, yeah, which I ultimately played, is e5. I mean, I'm not selecting from lines that I knew. I was just thinking in general terms. I didn't know any theory here. But e5 is the move that I played, and in fact, I looked it up. It's one of the more popular ones in the position. Yeah, what is the idea of e5? It has a very personal idea. The personal idea for me is to transpose back into a position type that I know from the Ruy Lopez. I very often play e5 on e4. Almost exclusively, actually. Yeah, and this is very much a Ruy Lopez position. The bishop on b3 is very typical. It's just like I had played knight a5 in the Ruy, c5 and returned. This I got in much quicker now. And oops. And black also has fianchettoed the bishop instead of having it on e7, which is also quite nice. As in the Ruy Lopez, you quite often play rook e8, bishop e7, f8, and bishop g7. So black has gained a bit of time compared to the Ruy. But time is not totally essential, of course, in this opening, as it is very closed. Yeah, you might say, why e5? Isn't this blocking this diagonal? That's true, but it still serves a very useful purpose, this move. It I keep making this blink for some reason. It emphasizes the control over d4, and white has a really hard time now to break through with d4 in the center, which would be the natural way to improve white's position. As black has so many pieces pointing toward that, white would probably never manage this. So it makes sure that black has a foothold in the center. And very long term, if everything's going according to what black wants to achieve, there is d6, d5, just occupying the center completely. White does not have sufficient control over the d5 square. There is no knight coming there, for example. Yeah, so I think it's a very decent way to play as black. Played rook e1. And I went h6. Yeah, I wasn't totally sure if this is a necessary move, but in most cases, it is necessary, or let's say it is useful. Necessary is the wrong word. Sometimes, let's say rook e8. There are ideas like knight g5 that can be annoying, or bishop g5 can be an annoying pin. Okay, I went h6. It's fairly standard. Knight d2, rook e8. And a3 played. Yeah, this is surprised me a bit, but it is an interesting move. I was more expecting something like this, knight e3 to d5 or something, but I have d5 at some stage. I was pretty satisfied with my position. a3 is in fact an interesting try. It has a very specific idea that I saw, of course, and I wasn't sure if I should just allow it or not. At the end, I decided to just allow its idea, because I didn't think it was any big problem. I played bishop to e6. What you could argue is that yeah, what is white's next move? Yeah, maybe bishop e6 was a bit too simplistic. Yeah, the thing is, after bishop e6, let me show you. He took and he played b4. This was the idea of this a3 move. Yeah, preparing this queenside expansion. With hindsight, you could say, okay, well, black could play a useful move, something not very committal. Let's say rook b8. Yeah, that's not doing very much, but okay, what is his next move? The thing is, what white only has, yeah, maybe 2 or 3 useful moves. Knight f1 is one move. It's not clear that this is helping him getting the knight here. Maybe knight e3 controlling d5 could be a plan. He could play bishop a2, after which bishop e6 very much looks like black has gained a move with rook b8 in this case. Yeah, maybe rook b8 or a similar move would have been interesting, but I thought, okay, let's play straightforward chess. This is his idea, but it really does not bring any big benefits, and I think I was okay in this assessment. Okay, I took on b4. This was my plan when I played bishop e6, a b4 and d5. This was a specific idea. It's a bit uncommon maybe to capture out or capture away from the center CBAB, but it has a specific idea that with d5 black will get this counterplay in the center, and I think black is very close to equal here. He now played the move bishop to b2, just keeping the whole structure as is. I was more expecting him to play b5, but yeah, he didn't do that. After b5, my intention was to go to a5. That's not a terribly attractive square, I know, but very often the knight there serves a very specific purpose. The question is, what is white's play now? If white allows me to capture on e4, or in case, yeah, let's say he plays a move like that, for example, and I would, not that, sorry, and I would initiate this kind of exchange, then the knight has a good route to c5 later, and it also controls the important c4 square. So the knight has a useful role there, and also in other cases this might be a piece that disturbs white. If you look at, for example, like this kind of position, here the knight, for example, also controls c4, though, so that knight c4 is never a possibility. It has some ideas there, and this I was expecting this. He played, as mentioned, bishop b2, which I didn't, yeah, think to be so dangerous. Yeah, as now I have the move b5, which I played, and yeah, this does two things. It prevents before b5, and it also plans in the long run to play a5, gaining space on the queen side. What needs to be noted is that in this position it is rather black who has a slight space advantage with those pawns in the center. However, this somewhat expanded center is also a slight liability. Yeah, there is some pressure on e5, and there's also later some pressure on b5. We will see that after b5 he played knight to b3. Yeah, looking at this weakened square. Yeah, my answer was rook to d6. This is what I had planned beforehand. Also a reason why I went for this whole procedure with taking on b4 and d5, because I thought, well, with this you actually get some purpose to this rook on e6, getting it quickly to d6, and maybe use the d file. Yeah, I think a fairly normal move. I also had a more simplistic way to play, which I didn't want to do. Black can also just trade and play this position. Maybe, let's say, bishop f8 at the end to cover knight c5. And here black has nothing to fear. It's just a very equal position. But well, I thought rook d6 is just a more interesting move. Why not? And I mean, I still would have liked to win the game somehow, but the whole position type is not very much suited for that. It's a bit of a case where, yeah, well, if you don't go for clean solutions here as black, you're probably just going to be worse without any specific play. For example, let's take this position, queen e2. Now it's black's move. What I played is, I think probably, yeah, maybe it's the best move, but it's the cleanest one, trying to clarify the situation. I played a5. If you play something else, some slow move, it's not clear what you're doing. You can keep the tension somehow, but it's not really apparent what this move should be. I mean, I can play, like, let's say a6, yeah, but what is it doing? He has ways to improve. Bishop c1, bishop here, a knight to c5. Yeah, well, I thought a5 is the most logical move, and I did some calculation, of course, because it gets complicated in the center. And yeah, it maybe it has some tactical problem. We will see this soon, but this was very hard to see in a practical game. Okay, he took on a5, knight takes, rook takes. So we see we have some simplifications here on the queen side and on the a file, and quite easily the game could just evaporate and exchange almost everything off. Here, in exactly this position, there was a critical possibility what white could do, but this possibility for white needed to be calculated very precisely, and we both didn't see the main point deep into the line, which is very excusable, but let's see. He took on a5. This is the move that I actually expected, but white can also take on d5. And there, I vaguely remember what I was thinking in the game. I thought rook a1, yeah, rook a1, knight d5. And here, there's the case where white basically must take on e5, as black is threatening to play knight f4 with a big advantage already. So he must take, yeah. It's strictly necessary. Yeah, in this position, if I now go knight f4, there is the move queen e4, intending rook a8. Yeah, knight f4 is just bad. So I need to play rook, where is it? Help. Rook e6, yeah, this is my notes, rook e6. Very, very logical move here, pinning the knight. Then d4. Bishop e5, d e5, knight f4. And I remember that I saw this line and continued it with queen f3 and queen d2. This is what I saw in the game. And here I thought, well, okay, yeah, this is very active now. Yeah, this is hanging, and white is not terribly well coordinated. However, in this position, white has a fantastic move pointed out by the engine. And whatever engine you use, they will show the move. And this is almost impossible for a human player to see. King h2 is the move. And to really appreciate why this is such a fantastic move, you need to see what happens if black takes on b2. At first, this looks very good and simple, because, well, okay, if there's the check, something like this is nothing really special. Well, this black getting the e5 pawn, even this here is check. Is just totally equal. But there is a big point here. After king h2, queen b2, white is not giving the check. White is playing rook a7. And this is just a fantastic point. If the knight moves, there's queen f7 with checkmate to come. And if black does something else, I mean, the only move that he can really play is queen b3. But if he tries to keep the knight, for example, there's queen b7, and this is already a forced checkmate with the queen and the rook clearing the 7th rank. Yeah, a fantastic point, rook a7. This is the relatively best move, and something like that black can try to hold, being a pawn down. The best move after this fantastic resource, king h2, is the move knight d3, which probably gives black decent chances to draw. I don't want to extend this line unrealistically far because, well, it's very tough to see it anyway. Something like that might happen with, oops, sorry, not queen h6, of course, rook d2 first. Something like that might happen, where white is a pawn up, but it's very difficult to win still. Black has decent chances to draw. It's a lot of suffering, but there are still very practical drawing chances. This whole line with e takes d5 is not totally forced. For example, here, black can also think of other moves like queen e7, for example. That's also interesting. But rook e6 is the most important line, as this is what we both certainly calculated. At least I did, because it looks like this looks fairly obvious that black will get a very strong play here. But this idea with rook a7, king h2, rook a7 is just exceptionally strong. I'm not sure if it would have happened in the game what I would have played. Not sure. Maybe I would have thought of other possibilities here and then didn't play rook a6. I don't know. He took on a5. Okay, I recaptured, of course, and now he captured on e5. Yeah, this was another way to grab a pawn, and here I had a choice, and I wasn't totally sure what to do. I took on e4, de4, and what I basically saw was what happened in the game, and I thought this should be okay. Maybe rook e6 here in this position is even simpler. Yeah, something like let's say take, knight takes, d4, and then taking here and taking on c3 is probably okay for black, and a bit simpler than the game. But okay, I don't think that what I did was wrong. I took here first, but this would have allowed white to do something a bit more complex than the game. He recaptured because he relied on a line that happened in the game, but this didn't really work out for white. There was an interesting alternative here, and this is the move d4. This is actually what I had expected if white wants to keep the game really complicated. It looks a bit weird because, well, what is this? The bishop here looking at their own pawns. True, but on the other hand, yeah, white has two pawns that that he can target, b5 and e4. While e4 is securely protected by the knight, it also means that the knight almost all the time needs to stay on f6 to not give away the e4 pawn. Yeah, and b5 is really a bit weak. This would have been interesting. I don't think I'm in huge trouble, but something like this maybe. Something like this was possible. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, in the game I thought maybe white is slightly better here. Probably true. I mean, there are lines where black holds fairly comfortably at the end. Let's say bishop a3 and now knight d5 with a counter attack here. Bishop here and rook a6. This black should hold fairly comfortably. There are some points here like this. Yeah, this is what also can be played, but here the counterplay against c3 should secure equality. Yeah, d4 was interesting. White could have tried that. Well, he captured, and then I went knight h5, and this initiates now a very concrete tactical sequence where the knight is attacked, and yeah, the bishop gets opened up and knight f4. So black gets lots of activity here, and you need to be precise now with calculation. The reason why maybe here rook e6 also was possible, and maybe the easier solution. We see now After this, white had an additional possibility which we both didn't see. A very funny possibility. Rook a1 was played. Okay, the queen is attacked and I only have one decent square back to d8. Yeah, this introduces the additional idea of rook d2 in the position. Yeah, and here he pretty much instantly played the move knight to f3, which is totally natural and what I expected. Yeah, and I was really shocked when I was checking the game with the computer, that yeah, that white in fact can take on f7. I'm pretty much sure that I would have been totally shocked if he played that. The good news is it's not winning for white, but I think it's pretty amazing that this possibility is even in existence. Yeah, black mistake, yeah. And the idea is just e5, and now the rook here is a bit of an unlucky piece. Where do you go with the rook? Yeah, if you move, let's say to b6, yeah. White has numerous ways to continue the attack. The easiest is maybe something like queen e4, and then rook a7 is in the mix. Yeah, there's g4, trapping the knight. That's quite a remarkable position where white has quite some compensation. There's also ways to immediately lose, like rook d2, e6 check, and white will win. Something like this is pretty terrible. Yeah, the whole thing is okay for black due to the move knight f4. I'm pretty sure that when it would have come to that, I would have seen the move, but still knight f7 would have totally shocked me. Yeah, knight f4 is just the most active move, and very often the most active move is the best one. Queen e4 needs to be played. I mean, okay, you need to avoid something like that. Queen e4, and now black has rook d1.
Check.
Getting counterplay. Taking now is even winning for black. Yeah, queen g1, checkmate. So you need to go to here, and now after this, king e6 is very important. Threatening bishop takes e5, winning the queen.
Check.
This is what will happen.
Check.
And here black can count on equality as he's just too active. Yeah, this is just too active a position, or maybe queen d3. It's not really mattering. This bishop on a1 is just so bad that black will easily hold this. Note that even a queen trade is not a big problem, as b4 is a substantial threat in this case. Black has no problem whatsoever. For example, if you just to show, this is better to be avoided, as here even black has the better endgame. Yeah, this is just the target.
Check.
Yeah, with this coming, so it's not advisable for white to go for that. Yeah, knight f7 would have been a shocking possibility, really, but it didn't happen. He pretty quickly played knight f3. Yeah, after that went knight f4 as planned. I didn't intend to cover the pawn here on b5. I mean, you need to get activity. Takes and rook b6. This was what I had planned, and yeah, I thought that it should pretty much be okay for me, as the game continuation is really equal, and the alternative I thought would even lose, which is not the case. Okay, rook b6. He had originally intended, as he told me afterwards, he had originally intended queen to a5 and thought that this would actually lose due to queen b8. Funny enough, I also thought it would lose because, well, the bishop is now attacked twice, and if you move it, there is this check, and now the bishop coming to c3 with black winning, forking both pieces here. The funny thing is, white does not need to move the bishop. He has the move rook d1. We both missed that. Now rook b2, rook d1 is actually losing for black. So yeah, what is the problem? What should black do now? I have king h7, fortunately. I didn't see that. It was a bit lucky that this is available. But okay, black is so active that he should be okay in a way, but I didn't see the concrete move. Here, for example, now it's white's move. He needs to do something about the bishop. And black will easily
Check.
regain material here, something like that. And here you can insert this move if you want. Queen somewhere, not quite sure where, maybe here. And then, for example, something like this will regain pawns, yeah, like this, for example.
Check.
And this is also falling pretty quickly. Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I overlooked this, but black is so active. It's no wonder that he will always regain the material with fine play. It's just funny that we both overlooked rook d1. Yeah, this is why he went for rook a8. nice move. Okay, queen a8, no choice. Queen here. Yeah, and in this position, I took on e4 as I had planned beforehand. Yeah, just recapture. And black has a very active position now, obviously. This is a bad piece, and I have all kinds of threats. Knight e2, queen b1, knight h3. Yeah, it's very active. My opponent afterwards told me that he was a bit afraid of the move knight d3, just not taking immediately, but first activating the knight. Yeah, this is in fact not a good move, but I also hadn't seen the point. Yeah, white actually has knight d2, and this clarifies matters. It covers e4, and black has no particularly great move in this position. There also was e5, which pretty much makes sure that white is okay, with white sometimes just returning here if the bishop is not hanging. Or e6 is an idea. Yeah, knight d3 is simply not working. He was afraid of ghost there a bit. Okay, this happened. Queen takes e4. And
Check.
now queen d8 with plate, with a check, and with a draw offer. Yeah, and I considered for a while if I have some way to play for a win in this position. Because, yeah, obviously black is very active. But at the end, it does not make much sense to decline the draw here, as pretty quickly I will regain the c3 pawn, but this will also mean a trade. It's very tough to not take the pawn. Queen d8 check, king h7, and queen d1 all the way back is the best setup for white. Yeah, and now it does not make much sense not to take the pawn. Something like knight e2 check, for example, king moves, and then just take it. No, with the bishop actually is more precise. Yeah, something like that, and well, there is really nothing to play for in this kind of position. Yeah, so I accepted the draw. There's no point in trying something that there is not something to try for something that is not there. Yeah, so a draw in this game. Yeah, I must say, of course, I would have liked to win it, to keep some chances for the Grandmaster norm, but still I thought it was an interesting and pretty well played game. It didn't have any gross mistakes or even inaccuracies from both sides, and it had some very nice lines that I was able to show. Yeah, it's a more than 30-minute video for 28 moves, so there was some interesting content there. It was not a dull, quick draw. Yeah, this meant with this draw that my already not very great chances for a GM norm were pretty much gone. The only possible scenario that was left for the last two rounds after this game was that I win, that I get a pretty strong opponent in round 8. I mean, like above 2,500, win the game, and then I would need to get one of the absolute top guys like Granda Zuniga with 2,670 and beat him. Yeah, so a very very unrealistic scenario. Yeah, I wasn't terribly upset or anything. I mean, you only can score Grandmaster of absolutely everything is falling your way. At least if a player like me is competing for that, who is not, well, I'm not a 2,500 player. I mean, I'm a decent, I am, but I only can do I only could score Grandmaster Norm if I'm really lucky and everything works together. And well, okay, it's very good. It's a draw with black against a 2,480 player is okay. I mean, it's what I should be content with. Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see what would happen if he would have gone for the open Sicilian. It pretty much would have been a fist fight, I believe. But okay, it didn't happen. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game.